In Warsaw, 1942, in the middle of the ghetto walls, a strange story began. People said they saw a young girl standing in a broken window. She was smiling, and behind her, in the cracked glass, there seemed to be the faint figure of the Virgin Mary. The first man to record it was a Polish radio operator named Jan Nowak. He was 24 years old, carrying messages for the underground, and he passed through Leszno Street at dawn. In his small notebook, later found in a ruined safe house, he wrote, "I looked up. A child was there, maybe 10 years old. She smiled, and I felt it in my chest. Behind her, in the glass, was Our Lady. But the shape was wrong. The face was too sharp, the eyes too dark." This note was dated March 17th, 1942. Warsaw, at that time, was a city of hunger and silence. The ghetto was overcrowded, sealed off, and guarded. Disease moved faster than hope. The air was thick with the smoke of fires set to clear the dead. To see a child smiling at all was unusual. To see her framed with a holy figure was enough to spread whispers in every hallway. Jan returned to the spot the next day. He was not alone. Two women, both carrying baskets of bread, stopped and crossed themselves. One whispered, "A sign." The other said nothing, only stared with wide eyes. The child's smile never changed. Her lips were curved, her eyes bright, but her face did not move like a normal face. People said her mouth opened once, but no sound came. By the third day, more witnesses came. A Jewish schoolteacher named Adam Lewin, hiding nearby, later gave this account to a friend who survived the war. "The girl was there, in the window. I saw her. She wore no coat, though the cold was bitter. Behind her was a light shape in the glass. Some said it was the Holy Mother. To me, it looked like a shadow painted with a smile. It moved when she did not." This testimony was written down in a notebook that reached London in 1943 with other resistance documents. The strange figure in the window grew in detail as more eyes noticed it. Sometimes it looked like Mary with open arms. Other times her head was bowed, eyes closed in sorrow. A seamstress who lived in the building claimed the figure's hands changed position each night. One day, folded in prayer, the next day, pointing down into the street. The people of Warsaw were divided. To some, it was a miracle, proof that even in darkness, God had not left. To others, it was a warning, a trick of glass and fear. The ghetto was filled with superstition, but also with quiet faith. And so the girl became a subject of debate. Then came the photograph. It was taken not by a Pole, but by a German soldier. His name is lost, but his roll of film was later found in the archive of the Sicherheitsdienst. The picture shows the building on Leszno Street. In the upper left window, a small figure stands. Her face is blurred, as if smiling. Behind her, in the glass, is a shape. It does look like the Virgin Mary. Faint, but visible. A pale outline of face and veil. When the picture was first examined by Polish resistance members, they noticed something strange. The reflection of the girl did not line up with her body. Her face looked forward, but in the glass, The shape turned slightly to the left, as if two images existed at once. More stories followed. A mother of two children claimed that after seeing the girl, her youngest survived a night of fever. She told neighbors, "It was her smile. It gave him strength." But another family, a father and daughter, went to see the window after hearing the rumors. Days later, they were gone, deported with others from the ghetto. Some whispered the smile had not saved them. It had marked them. In late March, Jan Novak's diary added another note. The window is strange. The child points, but not always at the street. Once, I swear she pointed at the sky. Behind her, the virgin shape closed its eyes. It felt like sorrow. This detail is important because the next day, a sudden roundup began on nearby streets. Families were taken away without warning. Survivors remembered the timing. The girl pointed before it happened. Not all were convinced. A doctor from the Aryan side of Warsaw, who crossed into the ghetto to deliver medicine, dismissed it as stress. He wrote in a hidden letter, "Glass can play tricks. Hunger can play tricks. Do not believe too much in miracles." But still, he returned a second time. He described the window again. It is not normal. The girl's mouth moves, but there is no sound. Her smile does not belong to a child in this place. By April 1942, the story had reached resistance papers. The underground newspaper, Bulletin Informacyjny, made a coded reference to a sign of Our Lady in the broken glass of the ghetto. No names were given, no address, but those who knew understood. At the same time, German reports began to take interest. A classified document marked Abwehr, Warsaw, mentions optical phenomena observed by civilians, potentially dangerous for morale. This file was later found in a Berlin archive. The tension around the girl grew heavier. Some went to the window to pray. Others avoided the street altogether. Rumors spread that anyone who looked too long would dream of her face at night. Dreams where she whispered words that could not be remembered on waking. Mary Zielinska, a seamstress, left this line in her hidden notebook before she was deported. Her smile is like a rope. It pulls you in. You want to follow, but where? By mid-April, more witnesses said the Virgin Mary shape behind the girl was changing faster. Sometimes it was bright, almost glowing in evening light. Other times, it was so faint you could not see it, only sense it, like pressure on your chest. Adam Lewin, the teacher, left one final note. The child has not aged in these weeks. Her face is the same, her smile the same. It is as if time does not touch her. By the end of April 1942, the girl was still there. But her presence no longer brought only hope. For some, it brought fear. For others, obsession. And all agreed, whatever she was not only a child. By May 1942, the story of the girl in the Warsaw window was no longer only a rumor. It had become something that could not be ignored. For every person who whispered that she was a miracle, another whispered that she was a curse. And soon, the question reached those who had power. On May 3rd, a mother named Helena Krawczyk carried her sick child past the building. She later told neighbors that the girl smiled at her son, and within days, the fever broke. Helena kept a diary, hidden in the lining of her coat. In one entry, found after the war, she wrote, "I believe she saved him. My boy should have died, but he is still here. I owe his life to that smile." But just a week later, another family who had visited the same window was gone. Arrested in a roundup, they were never seen again. One neighbor swore he heard the father's last words. "The smile chose us." The divide grew sharper. Was the girl a saint? Or was she something that marked people for death? The Polish underground decided they needed answers. Two young fighters, both students before the war, were sent to investigate. They brought notebooks, a small sketchbook, and a hidden camera. Their notes, preserved in fragments, describe the scene. The window is strange. The child appears at random hours. The figure behind her looks clearer than ever. It is like a holy picture, but alive. Hands move. Face changes. When we try to take a photograph, the image blurs. In the sketchbook, one of them drew the outline of the Virgin figure. The hands are shown not in prayer, but pointing down into the street. On the margin, he wrote, "Warning." During their search inside the building, the fighters discovered something behind a loose brick in the wall, a small prayer card scorched by fire. On the front, faint lines of the Virgin Mary's robe. On the back, no prayer at all, only numbers. 4 digits written faintly in pencil, 1942. Why would a prayer card carry only the year? Why was it hidden? These questions remain unanswered. By June, German intelligence had also taken interest. A classified Abwehr file, later uncovered in Berlin, makes a short but chilling note. Optical phenomena in Leshno Street. Religious figure reported. Potential danger for morale. Investigation ongoing. A second document, marked Geheime Reichssache, secret state matter, was signed by an officer of the Sicherheitsdienst. It lists rumors of a holy apparition and concludes, if not contained, may encourage resistance. One of the most detailed testimonies comes from a man named Piotr Rogalski, who worked as a messenger for the underground. In 1945, he gave a statement to a Red Cross worker. "I stood across the street and watched. The girl did not move like a living child. Her smile was fixed, but her shadow in the glass moved faster, like it was ahead of her. The Virgin figure behind her opened its arms. I felt it was not a blessing, but a warning. I could not stay." Then, in July in 1942, the sighting stopped. For 3 days, the window was empty. People passed, looked up, and saw nothing. Rumors spread that she was gone. On the 4th day, she returned. But now, the figure behind her seemed brighter, almost glowing in the evening sun. Survivors said it looked less like Mary and more like something else. A shape too sharp, too tall, with eyes too dark. A Jewish boy named David wrote in his secret journal. She smiled, but it was not kind. "I dreamed of her at night. She spoke words I could not keep when I woke." David did not survive the war, but his journal was found under floorboards in 1946. By August, German soldiers arrived at the building. Witnesses said they put up cloth over the window and forced people away from the street. For 2 nights, strange sounds were heard inside: boots, voices, then silence. On the morning of August 14th, the window was empty again. The girl was gone. The official German report, later found in a government archive, is short: subject removed, case closed. But villagers gave another account. A black car arrived before dawn. The child was carried out under a blanket. One man swore her face was still smiling. The most disturbing piece comes from a document declassified in 1978. It is from the Abwehr files, dated August 1942. The title reads, "Optical Phenomena, Subject Withdrawn." Below this, there is a blank space. Entire lines of text are missing, cut out or blacked over. Only one phrase remains clear: window must not be spoken of. The last known record from Jan Novak, the radio operator who first saw her, is dated August 15th. His notebook ends with these words: "The smile is gone, but the glass remembers." He was arrested the next week and sent to Majdanek. His notebook was found decades later in an abandoned safe house. By the end of 1942, the building on Lesno Street was nearly destroyed. The window no longer existed. But the story of the girl had already spread through secret letters and whispered prayers. Some said she was taken by the Germans. Others said she was never a child at all, only a shadow in the glass. When the war ended in 1945, Warsaw was in ruins. The building on Lesno Street was gone, reduced to rubble like most of the ghetto. The window no longer stood. But the story of the girl and the strange figure behind her did not end with the destruction of the street. It moved into memory, into testimony, and into archives hidden for decades. In displaced persons camps, survivors told fragments of the same tale. A girl who smiled when no one else could. A shadow in the glass that looked like the Virgin Mary or something else. One man, a baker from Warsaw, gave this account to a relief worker. She was not human. No child smiles like that in such hunger. I looked up once and felt my knees weaken. It was hope, yes, but hope mixed with fear. Another survivor, a woman who had lived 2 streets away, described dreams that came after she saw the girl. In my sleep, she stood by my bed. Her mouth moved, but I heard nothing. When I woke, the window was still in my eyes. For years, the Catholic Church in Poland remained silent. Priests whispered about the story, but rarely mentioned it in public. One priest, Father Marek Nowinski, wrote a private note in 1961 after seeing the photograph recovered from German archives. "It is her. Yes, a girl, a smile. But the figure in the glass is not the Holy Mother. It is sharper, darker. My heart tells me this is not Our Lady. It is another face wearing her shape." This note was kept hidden in parish files until the 1980s. In 1983, during restoration work at a Warsaw museum, a roll of German film was rediscovered. Among the images was the now famous photograph of the window. Conservators examined it closely. They confirmed the Virgin Mary shape was visible, faint but real. Yet the angle of the light did not match. The reflection was impossible. A restorer later told a journalist, "The glass shows 2 images at once, one of the child, one of something behind her. We cannot explain how it was captured. By the late 20th century, the story became a subject of debate among historians. Some argued it was an optical illusion caused by cracked glass and smoke. Others suggested it was a deliberate act of resistance, a painting or a trick to lift morale inside the ghetto. But the testimonies do not agree. Witnesses spoke of changes in the figure: eyes open, eyes closed, hands in different positions. No painting could have shifted like that. Professor Anna Zielinski of the University of Warsaw published a short paper in 1992 where she wrote, "We must accept that we do not know. Whether illusion, symbol, or something unearthly, the Virgin in the glass remains one of the strangest wartime mysteries. The greatest unanswered question is the girl herself. No records name her. No family has ever claimed her. The ghetto lists are incomplete, but no one matches her description. A child who smiled every day, who did not seem to change, who wore no coat even in cold weather." In 1947, a Red Cross team searched surviving documents for her identity. They found nothing. One report ends simply, "No such child can be confirmed." In 2001, a group of researchers examined the site where the building once stood. They found fragments of glass buried in the soil. Microscopic study showed strange markings on the surface, lines that resembled scratches, but also looked like letters. No one has been able to read them. In 2010, a Warsaw journalist interviewed the grandson of Jan Nowak, the radio operator who first wrote about her. The grandson showed his family archive. Among the papers was a page in Jan's hand that had never been published. It read, "She is not gone. When I close my eyes, the window is still here. She waits in the glass. Not a saint, not a child, something else." What was the Virgin Mary in the window? To some, it was a miracle sent to comfort the suffering in the darkest time. To others, it was a trick of fear and hunger, an illusion that played with desperate minds. And to a few, it was something else entirely, a presence that used the shape of the Virgin but was not holy. What is certain is that the story could not be erased. German files tried to close it. The church tried to remain quiet, but testimonies, photographs, and diaries kept it alive. Today, when historians speak of Warsaw, they speak of courage, suffering, and loss. But hidden in the ruins is this strange story of a smile in the glass. A smile that brought hope to some, fear to others. A smile that seemed to predict death or life, and a figure behind it, faint but unforgettable. The girl was never named. The window was destroyed, but the memory remains. The smile is gone, but the glass remembers. This has been a fictional story, told in the style of forgotten archives and lost testimonies. If you want to hear more stories like this one, subscribe to our channel and tap the bell.